Pashyan, by seeing, Gata Vishmayaha, without doubt, Atra, in this matter. Translation: I am not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others. But I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects. Parpada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although he was brother of Dhritarashtra, Vidur was completely different. By the grace of Lord Krishna, he was not foolish like his brother, and thus his brother's association could not influence him. Dhritarashtra and his materialistic sons wanted to falsely lord it over the world by dint of their own strength. The Lord encouraged them in this, and thus they became more and more bewildered. But Vidur wanted to achieve sincere devotional service of the Lord, and therefore became a soul absolutely surrendered to the absolute personality of Godhead. He could realize this in the progress of his pilgrimage journey, and thus he was freed from all doubts. He was not at all sorry to be bereft of his health and home, because he now had experienced that dependence on the mercy of the Lord is a greater freedom than so called freedom at home. A person should not be in renounced order of life unless he is firmly convinced of being protected by the Lord. This stage of life is explained in Bhagavad Gita as Abhayam Sattva Samasuddhi. Every living entity is factually completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. But unless one is in pure state of existence, he cannot be established in this position. This stage of dependence is called Sattva Suddhi, or purification of one's existence. The result of such purification is exhibited in fearlessness. A devotee of the Lord who is called Narayana Para is never afraid of anything, because he is always aware of the fact that the Lord protects him in all circumstances. With this conviction, Vidura traveled alone, and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe. Thus, he enjoyed freedom of life without obligation to the many duties of the world. When Lord Sri Krishna was personally present in this mortal world, in his eternal blissful form of Shyam Sundar, those who were not pure devotees of the Lord could not recognize him or know his glories. Avajananti mam mura manusham tanum ashritam. Gita, Bhagavad Gita 9:11. He is always bewildering to the non-devotees, but he is always seen by the devotees by dint of their pure devotional service to him. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushay Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. So Srila Prabhupada has written very beautiful purport about this shloka. So I will add a few words from commentaries from the other acharyas. So Prabhupada is writing here that I am not astonished at this, having traveled all over the world without being seen by others. So, this is spoken by Vidurji to Uddhavji. So, Vidurji actually he was on pilgrimage because he was thrown out by by Dhritarashtra, and because he listened to his son, because Dhritarashtra was in bad company, he was so much attached to his sons, who was actually a very bad guy. So he was in bad association. That's why his activities are like that. So when he left, he didn't stop him. Dhritarashtra didn't stop him or anything. So actually, it was later on he thought that this is Krishna's will, Krishna's mercy, that I'm out on pilgrimage, and I lived all my years in the kingdom, and being a prime minister there. But he wanted to have association and have the darshan of all the deities on his pilgrimage. So it was great fortune for him. So, and we read in the last shloka that he was asking about he simply lamented for the task. He was asking about everybody's welfare. He, like Vidurji was asking to Uddhav how is Lord Krishna and how is Balram, and then later on he asked about how is Vasudevji, his mother Devaki, and he asked later on about Pradyumna, Ugrasen, and Yuyudhan and Akrurji, and Gada and all other his sons, which were more prominent sons, he asked welfare of all. And then after that, he started asking about the Kurus. But he asked about Pandav and he asked about Mother Kunti, but he never asked anything about the Dhritarashtra. And why he didn't ask anything about Dhritarashtra? Because he knew that he's trying to go to hell, actually, whatever his activity. He knew him very well because he worked under him, for so many years, all his life, actually, he was prime minister. So he knew how crooked man he is, So that's why. And actually, his brother Pandu was good guy, but good king, but he went to the forest because he got cursed by a rishi. So he thought, that I have few last years, so of my life, so I can go to forest and do meditation on the Lord. But somehow or the other, with his bad karma, actually, he died having the sex with his wife, So somehow or the other, because he had that kind of curse. So Vidurji was son of a maid servant of the Ambika and Ambalika. So, and Vidurji's father was the Vyasamuni, actually Vyasdevji. And so we can see how this whole thing came up. But Vidurji was very pious person, very great devotee of the Lord Krishna. And he was thinking himself very lowly. And he never thought that I could actually be a great person or anything. He was thinking very low of himself. And that's why he never went. He could have gone to Krishna directly, but he never went to Krishna. And he thought that I'm a very low grade devotee, so let me just go and try to be a good devotee. So, and why the trust was like that? Because Lord's material energy, Maya Devi, is very strong. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. So we should never get surprised. That's why Prabhupada is writing in this shlok in the beginning of the translation that I am not astonished. Actually, we should never get surprised in this world because anything can happen. We all have so many anarthas in our life, actually. So, and that's why when he saw that the Dhritarashtra is so much attached to his palace and all the comforts, that's why he has to come back from after the pilgrimage to take the Dhritarashtra out in the forest so he can do some meditation just for his welfare, So we can see how Bhagavad person like Vidurji all the time thinks about welfare of others. Although he threw him out, still he wanted his good, So we can see how nice person he was. In all this anartha, what he had, the Dhritarashtra had, these actually, all this anartha, many of the devotees also, actually me, I have all these anarthas actually, but all the anarthas also can be used in the Krishna service, like the lust, how the lust can be used in the service of the Krishna. Like, like we can see the example of Prajapatis, what they did. They did the service of Prajapati. Like it was, they thought it is as a their service to the Lord, because they were all the Prajapatis were son of Brahmaji, and Brahmaji ordered them that you produce progeny, all the children, so they were actually pure Vaishnavas, but they produce the children, So similarly, we can, if you have lust, we can produce children and follow the Garhasthashram properly. And after Garbhadhan Sanskar, we can have produce the children like that, So lust can be used that way in the service of the Lord. Similarly, anger, we can see how Bhim had the anger, and how in his anger, he served Krishna's mission, because Krishna wanted to kill all the demonic people, all the demonic kings actually, and we can see how Bhim killed Duryodhan and all his 99 brothers. We can see, so Bhim was so strong, and we know that Bhim, when he was little child, right from that age, he was so strong. So his mother, one time when Bhim was only few days old, maybe a month or so, and Arjuna, Bhim, Arjuna, Yudhishthir, all these have very little hours actually difference. Not like she called one person and then one was born and then other one. All five were born. Madri also gives birth to Nakul and Sahadev also almost at the same time, so they were almost the same age, few days difference, but so Bhim was few days old, maybe a month old, and Kunti was carrying him. And then Arjun was crying. He was only few hours old, so she was trying to lift Arjuna. At that time, Bhim slipped from her arms and fell on a rock. The rock was very big rock, but it crushed to small particles. We can see, right, when he was 1 month old, how strong he was, that just by falling from mother's lap, all that whole big rock, crushed. So similarly, we can see the example of Hanumanji. Hanumanji also burned Lanka, and in his anger, but this anger was used for Lord Ramchandra. So similarly, we can use our anger in the service of the Lord. Now next is greed. So how we can use greed? We should have greed for chanting actually. And like a miser counts some money, similarly we should count 16 beats, 24 beats a day, 32 beats, 48 beats, 64 beats, 96 beats, like that. More and more chanting, more and more chanting. So we should be really greedy for chanting. Next, we can have our envy, because so many people have envy, and envy is the thing, which is most subtle. No one can see it. Now we can see, is Radharani is envious to Chandravali? Not at all, actually. They all want to have service. They all want to do service for the Lord. They want to make Krishna happy. It's not like they were envious to each other. We can see all the gopis. They also have envy with each other, that I will serve more. I will serve more. I will please Krishna more. So this kind of envy is very good in the service of Krishna. But material envy is very bad. Similarly, pride. So whether we should have pride, we should be proud of anything in this material world. We should proud of actually having that I am Krishna's devotee. So we should have pride. We should be proud of Krishna, that Krishna is my Lord. He's great. He's so great. So we should have that kind of pride. And we should have pride for our acharyas. That see how many acharyas, very, very so nice acharyas I have in the line. This is the succession. We can see our Goswamis, see their life. So if we have pride of these things, that our acharyas and Krishna, then our life will be very great. Similarly, the illusion or the false ego. So we can see in Bhagavad Gita, example, Krishna, Arjun was illusioned that I don't want to fight. Actually, Arjun was so great warrior. We can see there was no archer similar to him on the face of earth at that time, on the whole universe. But we can see that how Arjuna got illusioned for Krishna's service, because Krishna wanted that way, that he got illusioned. Otherwise, there was no reason actually, because Arjun could never think, that he can be so like weak, and that he had to sit down on the back of the chariot and keep his bow and arrow in the corner. He will never do that. Similarly, we can see in Bhagavatam that how Parikshit Maharaj actually got illusioned, and he put the dead snake on the neck of Samik Rishi. So can Parikshit Maharaj do that kind of work? And can he get so angry that he can do this kind of heinous act? He will not, because he was illusioned by Krishna, because Krishna wanted him, Parikshit Maharaj, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the Samik Rishi and not Samik Rishi, from the, what is his name, Prabhu? Parikshit Maharaj, and I'm forgetting the name. So illusion. So he got the Parikshit Maharaj, he got the Bhagavatam, and that Bhagavatam we all are reading now for so many years, and this will go on many, many more years, till the end of the Kali Yuga, when the effect will be less and less slowly, and then Satyuga will start again. So all these 6 things, the lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion, these all can be used in Krishna service very nicely. We have to just use them properly. So here we are seeing that he is saying about Uddhavji actually, that I am not astonished at this. So we can see that nowadays in this material world, it's very even hard to be surprised on anything. Actually, anything, any bad thing can happen anytime. I was hearing a class of Veer Krishna Maharaj from the North Carolina, and he said that I am not surprised on anything anymore now, because sometime I get invitation to attend a annaprashan for somebody, and sometime they invite me for the few days ago. He said I was invited for Antyeshti Kriya. Somebody died. Then he says sometime people call me for marriage ceremony. Sometime they call me for marriage anniversary, and those kind of all things goes on. So he said that there is nothing surprise in this material world. And so there is no surprise actually in this material world. So he says that this material world is very wonderful, but many things happens, and we should not get surprised at how this happen, because that's Krishna's plan. Everything happens with the. So this is the life cycle actually. Sometime Maharaj was saying that I go for Graha Pravesh and all these things. So these are the life cycles of the people, different things. People get, like Srila Prabhupada has given us the diorama, and we see how there is little infant, then how he grows up to child, then his youth, and then he get adult person, then he get old, his teeth are falling off, hairs get all the gray, white, and then he dies, and again he becomes a little child. So this is the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. So this is the material world, actually, we should never get surprised. So this body is subject to this. We have the material body, so this body is subject to birth, death, old age, disease. But those who are situated in the spiritual thing, spiritual life, who has the spiritual life, like Yatho Bhakti Adokshaje. Yatho Bhakti Adokshaje. So he has no birth, no death, no old age, and no disease. So this is the only thing that we have to be in the service of Krishna. Then for a devotee, actually, there is no death. He's serving anyway to Krishna, either before death or after death. That's his thing. So Radhanath Maharaj also says that everything that people in this material world, he said, I travel sometime in the train or bus and I see people reading newspaper like crazy. This newspaper is just like Bhagavatam without Krishna. So he said that in newspaper everything is there but Krishna. So what is the use? Because Radhanath Maharaj says that in this material world there is padam padam vibdam desham. There's all problems there. And this newspaper never give any solution to any problem. That just shows problem. And people are attracted to listen to them. And that's why all people want newspaper every single day while sipping the coffee or tea. They read the newspaper. But Srimad Bhagavatam actually has the solution to all material problems. So we should read Srimad Bhagavatam as much as possible. And that will be great job for all of us. So let us go more ahead. Having traveled all over the world without being seen by others. So by Krishna's mercy, actually nobody saw Vidurji traveling in the mendicant, in the dress of a mendicant. So Vidurji is saying here the activities of personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this material world. So actually Krishna comes in the form of a regular human being. So people actually thinks that he is the simple, like he's a Gwala, or he's born of the Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he's their son or son of Vasudevji and Devki. People think that's why Bhagavad Gita says, avajananti mamura manusham tanu ashritam param bhava jananto mama bhuta maheshwara. So Krishna's activities in this material world are those of a man of this material world. And these, all the activities of Krishna is bewildering to everyone. But by Krishna's grace, Vidurji is writing that by his grace only, I know the greatness of Krishna. And thus I am happy in this respect. So that's why he is happy. So once we know the greatness of Krishna, which is given, we can get that greatness of Krishna. We can know that by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and hear all these classes, hear about his leelas, his all the pastimes. So then we will know how great Krishna is. And that will give us the great happiness actually. And we will not get bewildered in this material world. So that's very beneficial for us. So in the purport, Sri Prabhupada is writing, although he was the brother of Dhritarashtra, Vidur was completely different because Dhritarashtra has completely different character than Vidurji. Vidurji was Mahabhagwat, and Dhritarashtra was very karmi guy, materialistic person. And he was already blind, but he was more blinded by love of his son Duryodhan. So that was the most worst thing. And he was listening to Duryodhan. He was so envious to all his Pandav brothers who were so pious, and they were under protection of Krishna. So we can imagine, how bad guy was Dhritarashtra. So Prabhupada is writing, by the grace of Krishna, Vidurji was not foolish like his brother, and thus his brother's association could not influence him. So when we sometime, like we see our brothers, sisters, or our relatives also, we should not get influenced by them, their materialistic activities. We should actually influence them with our bhakti. That's a devotee's job. So Vidurji was not influenced by his brother Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra and his materialistic sons wanted to falsely lord it over the Lord by dint of their own strength. So they were thinking that I can win all this and I can all these kingdoms, and I can be a great king, emperor, like that. He had so much ambition. And in that ambition, he were doing all the bad materialistic activities. And like we can see the incidents when Arjuna and the Duryodhan, they both went to Lord Krishna for his help in the Mahabharata war. And Arjuna asked that I want, Krishna said, either you can have me or my Akshani Sena. So he took the Sena, Duryodhan, because he never thought that Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead, and wherever is Krishna, the Vijay will be there, the victory will be there, of course. So, but he didn't have that kind of faith in Krishna. So he said, give me the army. And Arjun took Krishna and he was very happy because wherever is Krishna, there will be, of course, victory. All the good things happens wherever is Krishna. And Duryodhana was thinking that my by my own power, I can actually become more and more powerful. And so, and the Lord encouraged him, okay, do it, do it. So he became more and more, because sometimes we try to enjoy this material world, and Krishna says that, okay, enjoy. So Krishna also stays away from him. Those who want to come towards Krishna, Krishna takes so many steps, 10 times more or 1,000 times more than the person, and try to get him. But person who want to get away from Krishna, Krishna gives them facility, and so they can forget. So forgetfulness and remembrance both is given by Krishna. The Lord encouraged them in this, and thus they became more and more bewildered. But Vidur wanted to achieve sincere devotional service of Lord, and therefore became a soul absolutely surrendered to the personality of Godhead. So Vidur actually wanted to be a devotee and do the sincere devotional service to the Lord, and therefore he became completely surrendered to Krishna. So person who are completely surrendered, they are always happy actually, like Vidurji. We can see how happily he traveled all around without any facility. Anywhere he will sleep, he will not take care of his body, his hairs, and everything. Whatever he gets food, fine. If he doesn't get food, that's fine. So this way he traveled all around and went everywhere. All the pilgrimage places. There are so many in India. He was not at all sorry to be bereft of his hearth and home, because he now had experience of dependence on the mercy of the Lord. He know now very well that mercy of the Lord is greater freedom than so-called freedom at home. So we think we have great freedom at home, but actually that's not the real freedom. When we chant Krishna's name and depend fully on his mercy rather than on our power, we have no power. Everything actually Krishna, given by Krishna to us. So, and he was not sorry that I have to leave the palace, I have to leave all the comfort of my house, my family. So he was not actually thinking that way. He was not sorry at all for this. Whatever condition Krishna keeps him, he was happy that way. So this stage of life is explained in Bhagavad Gita as Abhayam Sattva Samsuddhi. So this is actually from 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I will just read the first slok. Actually, in 16th chapter, we can see how Krishna actually explained the demoniac and the divine nature. And in the beginning, three verses he gave for the what are the characteristics of the divine person. So he said, Abhayam, Sattvasam, Shuddhir, ज्ञान योग व्यवस्थिति दानम दमस्य यज्ञस्य स्वाध्यायस्य tapa arjavam. So these are all 16 characteristics of a divine person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of the spiritual knowledge, charity, self control, performance of sacrifice, study of Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom for covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belongs to a godly man, empowered with divine nature. So we can see these good characteristics of the divine person. So here Prabhupada is saying that Vidurji has all those qualities. That's why he was Mahabhagavad actually. So how we can get this? By doing the purification of our existence. And that's one should actually try to achieve whatever degree we can get all those gunas of a person, which is sattva samsuddhi. So, and result, what is the result of this purification? Is exhibited in fearlessness. So, we completely get abhay. So, when we are completely fearless, then only we can do bhakti very boldly. We will not scared of anything in this material world. A devotee of Lord who is called Narayan Parayanam. So, people are Narayan Parayanam, and they can actually do the bhakti very properly, which are Narayan Parayan. So, devotee solely who is engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, never fear any condition of the life. For them, the heavenly planets, the liberation, or the hellish planets, they all are same. There is no difference in that. For such devotee, they are only interested in doing service to the Lord. So it doesn't matter actually. So there is a shlok in the Bhagavatam 6th canto, Narayana Parasarve, na question vibhyati, na question vibhyati, Swargapavarga Narakeshwa, Api Tulyartha Darshinaha. So that's where that's for the devotee actually doesn't matter where they are in this material world or on the on the on the Swargalok or hellish planets, anywhere. They are just trying to preach and serve the Lord as much as they can. So a devotee of the Lord who is called Narayan Parayan is never afraid of anything because he is always aware of the fact that the Lord protects him in all circumstances. So Lord protects all his devotees in all circumstances. With this conviction, Vidu traveled alone and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe because that was Krishna's will actually. And by that, he was not recognized by anyone because otherwise, in the all the pilgrimage, he traveled so much, over 35 years actually he traveled. And we can imagine, not a single person who could recognize him. So that was Krishna's actually mercy. Thus he enjoyed freedom of life without obligation to many of the duties of the world. When Lord Krishna was personally present in this mortal world, in his eternal blissful form of Shyam Sundar, those who were not pure devotees of the Lord could not recognize him. So similarly, we can see that Lord Krishna actually lived 125 years at the end of Dwapar Yuga in this material world. And he was personally present, but people could not recognize him that he is the Supreme Personality of God and he came from Golok Vrindavan. People could not recognize, except few devotees, who could recognize him. Rest, most of the people could not recognize him. That's why Prabhupada is quoting here words from Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti ma mura manushantanum ashritam param bhava ajananto mama bhuta maheshwara. So he is always bewildered to the non-devotees. Krishna actually make everybody bewildered in this material world. But he is always seen by the devotees by dint of their devotional service to him. Because the pure devotees actually, they can see that he is Krishna because they have the pure devotional service. Like his pure devotional service, like it is explained in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjuna Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santah Sadaiv Hradayeshu Vilokayanti, Yama Shama Sundara Achinta Gunash Sarupam, Govindam Adi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami. So Santa, in the Hridaya of Santa, Mahabhagavat, like Vidurji, Krishna stays in their heart. Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokanti. They see Krishna all the time in their heart. One time, devotees asked the Prabhupada that, have you seen Krishna? But Prabhupada actually was seeing Krishna all the time because all the great souls can see Krishna in the Paramatma form in their heart all the time. They can feel him. Not seeing by the eyes, they see, they feel him in his presence in the heart. So that is most important thing actually, to realize that we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are his servant of the servant of the servant. And if we can feel that all the time, then all the activities from our this material body will be all very nice activities. We cannot do anything wrong if we feel all the time that I am servant of the servant of Krishna and Krishna is with me all the time. And we will not be worried about anything. We will not be afraid of anything. So that condition, actually very few people, lucky people, who are in the great bhakti, like Srila Prabhupada, those people can get it. It's very hard, but we should strive to get that, try to see as much as we can do. We should try to do the bhakti and try to feel Krishna's presence all the time. So what I will do now, I will read the commentary, but Chakravarti Thakur Maharaj, what he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says in the 16th chapter, the divine and demoniac qualities, as well as the result of these two conditions, are described. He says, remembering the fruits of the banyan tree in the 16th chapter, he says that this word is like a upside down banyan tree or a svat tree of the sansara. And it has been described here in the last chapter, as mentioned them, like in the 15th chapter. The Lord in this chapter described the fruits of the tree, which are of two varieties. So in the 15th chapter, we read those, what kind of fruits are there. And so there are two kind of varieties of fruits in this material world. One, those activities which causes the liberation, and other activities which causes bondage. So in the 16th chapter, in the 16th chapter, in the beginning 3 verses, Krishna is giving actually the divine quality which causes actually liberation from this material world. And the first word is abhayam. Abhayam means freedom from the fear of how I will live being alone in the forest without wife or children. So we can see here that Vidurji has no problem like this, and he was not worried how I will live, where I'm going to eat, because he got already abhayam, he was elevated soul. So elevated souls actually, they all the time are abhay. Later on, Chakravarti Pad is writing Sattva Suddhihi, means purity of consciousness. Jnana Yoga Vishwatha means being completely familiar with the method of attending jnana. For example, we should not have pride, we should be lack of pride, mentioned in chapter 13. And then dana we should never stop. Dan means distribute food or other items of one's enjoyment to others. Then Dhamma means controlling external senses. And Yagna means worship of the Lord. Then Swadhyaya means studying Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So Tyaga means give up possessiveness of the wife, children. Oh, they are my property, like this is my house, this is my car, this is my wife, this is my children. So we should give up because they all belong to actually Krishna. Krishna has kindly provided us, and it's our duty to support them, but not like getting so much attachment. So we have to actually have the Tyaga. And Aloputam means absence of greed. So once we have absence of greed, we have to have absence of greed from the material things. For spiritual things, we should have greed, like greed for chanting, greed for reading more and more, greed for remembering Krishna more and more. So that greed we should have, but not for any material things. So these are the 26 quality items actually Krishna describes in text number 1, 2, 3 of the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And we should study and try to acquire all those quality in at least some quantity. If we can have in plenty, lot of those qualities, that will make us great. But at least we should try to see how much we can do, and that will actually help our bhakti so much. So we can see here now the Vidurji will be described in three more verses, and then we will start next chapter, which is also remembrance of Lord Krishna. So that will be very interesting, and we will all enjoy the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit of the spiritual knowledge, and we should enjoy more and more. So, although there is time, but I will end here right now, and there are very few people anyway. And somebody has any comment or question, we can discuss it here now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Hare
much for the nice class, for emphasizing so much on devotional service, pure devotional service, and for such beautiful references from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, I missed something, Prabhu. You were looking for some reference other than Parikshit Maharaj. You were asking something.
No. I was like, who spoke the Bhagavad Gita? No, Bhagavatam, I'm just getting, I was forgetting his name. Yeah, Sukadeva Goswami, I was not remembering his name, suddenly.
Oh, okay.
That's why sometimes the memory
No.
goes like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
no problem, bro. Sorry, I did not get the question, so I was.
Right.
Oh,
So,
thank you,
but
Prabhu. Thank you
this
so
is
much.
great verse, and Prabhupada explained it so nicely, actually. And so everything is here in Bhagavatam to learn more and more and meditate more and more on Krishna. Thank you very much. So, Prabhu, we will end here. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
जय
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। Thank you.